Hi, Matt with etrailer. Today we're going to be talking about WaySafe's 180 2-inch ball mounts. Now these are going to be a great option for anyone who's looking for something that's lightweight, easy to use, and is very secure. So let's check them out. We're going to be focusing on the Cerakote 180 series. And the Cerakote series is going to have this type of black finish to it. It's going to help it be more weather resistant. And all these ones we have today are going to have the same capacity since they are going to work with a 2-inch receiver. The only difference between them is going to be the rise and drops. The one here is going to be 4 inches, there will be a 6-inch, an 8-inch, and then a 10-inch one. But they all work exactly the same. What I like about adjustable ball mounts are that they can rise to different heights to meet your needs and make sure everything's nice and level so you're hauling safely. So if one day you're hauling with a horse trailer and then the next day you want to transition for a boat trailer, you can do that. This also applies for if you have a different vehicle that you're hauling with on a daily basis. And the one that we have today just kind of makes that whole process easier, allowing you to really maneuver this ball mount a bit better, and it's going to have locks to make sure things are secure. Actually, to show you what it looks like, I'll do that right now. And that's what I like about this one here, because typically you're going to have 2 pins, and you're going to have to manually remove each one of them. And with this, all I have to do is take my key, pull this out by unlocking it. When I unlock that, it pulls both of them out at the same time. I think that's great, and you don't have to really worry about any safety pins or clips that take out, because sometimes those can be a little bit obnoxious to remove. All I have to do is raise and lower this. It's going to be kept in this channel, makes that a pretty smooth transition. And this finish is actually pretty smooth too. Sometimes if you have a more of a rough finish, that can be kind of difficult to work with. You actually flip this all the way around to use your different balls. And then these just slide right back into place. I don't have too much resistance. Now I will say you won't be able to put this on either side. It will have to go on the side with this center hole because that's where your lock core goes into. Then you can lock it back up and be secure. Let's kind of focus on the ball itself now. So the one up top is going to be our 2 5/16 ball, and this is going to be rated for 12,500 pounds. Now if you flip this around, I can also flip the whole housing or the whole shank just by removing this pin. This pin will come with your kit. Be a little bit tricky sometimes to get to it, especially if it's a little bit tight under here. But I do like this comes with a locking pin. Not all of them actually come with pins either, so that's great. I'll flip around just like that. You'll notice we have 2 pinholes just for different lengths or away from your bumper, whatever works better for you. And now the ball that's sitting up top, that's going to be our 2-inch ball. Let me try to adjust this a little bit more. There we have it. And with the 2-inch ball, that's going to be rated for 8,000 pounds. And they're still going to have the same tongue capacity. Now your tongue weight is going to be 1,500 pounds. So really what the difference between your tongue and your tone capacity is, your tongue is going to be the downward force that's being applied to the ball or ball mount itself. And your tone capacity is going to be what's being pulled behind you. Now it's important to note that it's something you have to really go off of what your lowest rated component is. So just make sure that your vehicle and your hitch is going to be rated at the same or higher than this ball mount. Something else you might be wondering is, what are the increments in between each one of these? Now, like I said earlier, this is going to be a different range of heights and drops, but they are going to have the same distance between each hole. That's going to be an inch increment in between each spot you can put this. I like that personally because that gives you a lot more variety with different rise and drops. Sometimes they might be 1.5 inches, and this is just going to make sure you can hit more of a wide range of trailers. Now let's kind of dive into the materials and how this is going to be great because it's very weather resistant. So this is made from a very heavy duty aluminum. A lot of times people might think that's kind of light duty, but this is going to be able to hold up because that is a high grade aluminum. On top of that too, what makes this specific one unique is going to be, or it's going to have this Cerakote on top of it. And with that Cerakote, that's going to be very similar to a lot of gun or rifle finishes you find out there. So that's going to be very good at handling a lot of snow, ice, water that might build up on top of here. The one thing I've been kind of wondering myself is how this is going to handle inside your receiver, because you might get some chipping if you're pretty hard on your receivers, especially if you are constantly taking this in and out. It could chip, but with the way this is feeling now, I don't see it being super likely, but some more testing might be needed for that. And on top of that, we're going to have these kind of rubber caps. I like these personally because they're going to just go over the top of your locking mechanisms. And what's great about that is you don't have to worry about anything building up in that hole. And especially if you're trying to gain access to your ball mount that's been sitting out there for maybe a week, you're trying to use your key to unlock it, but if there's something in there, that might be a bit of a hassle to use. You'll also notice we have an additional one of those on our lock core, on our pin here. That's just going to be the same thing with the other one on the side. Like I said earlier, there are going to be two different styles of the balls. So this is going to be our stainless steel one, and this is going to be our chrome finish. And really, I feel like it's mainly up to preference, which one you like more. I personally go with more of a stainless steel style. I just like the look of it a little bit more, and I think it's less likely of chipping like you do with a more of a chrome plating, because since it is a plating on top of there, it's not going to be the same material throughout. But that's just my personal preference. And something else I noticed too is on the inside of these, we are going to have this pin. With all of them, I've noticed some of them really stay in there, some of them kind of fall out. If you just kind of jostle it around a little bit, you can pull that through, and this ball will drop through. You'll have to take it through the other side though. Personally though, I wouldn't take this pin out, I'd leave it in, just because if you want to flip to a different size ball, all you would simply have to do is flip the whole housing around and then put it back on. In my opinion, I think this is a solid choice for an adjustable ball mount, especially if, like I said, if you're looking for something just really easy to use to get a lot of different rise and drops for a lot of different trailers you're hauling with, this is going to be a great one to go with. Now, there are going to be some other variations. So if you're not a big fan of that black finish on here, or maybe you think that's a little bit overkill for something that's already made of aluminum, so it's probably not going to rust over time, then I'd actually recommend the other variation of this that doesn't have that Cerakote at all. There's going to be just one that more of a silver finish, and it's still going to be made of aluminum, so very good at being rust resistant. But either way you go, if you like this one just more of aesthetic wise and it still feels very smooth to use, I think it's great. Now, if you're looking for something else that's also a premium option and has a stow function to it, then I'd recommend the BMW toe and stow ball mounts. Now, these are great because the way these work, they're going to have some pins you'll pull off, and instead of detaching it from the housing or the shank, it actually slides on the track and never is really removed. Now, what I don't like about this comparatively though is you will have to completely remove these pins one by one, versus, as you saw earlier, when I was working with the Way Safe, all they had to do was unlock it, pull the whole section out, it removes both pins for me. So I find that a little bit easier to use. And with these larger options, you actually can stow the ball mount. With the smaller one, it's a little bit harder since there's not very much room right here. But here you can tell there's going to be plenty of room if you ever do need to stow it. But it's also going to be dependent on your vehicle and the space around it. So at the end of the day, I'd say this is probably one of my top choices when it comes to adjustable ball mounts. That's just really easy to use, especially since it comes with all the locks. This was just a look at some of the features of the Way Safe 180 2-inch ball mounts. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.